kind of recorded live, but I have unlisted it. So what's going to happen is as soon as I press listed, it will be, you guys will be able to see it quicker. Hence why I did that. Let's talk about the market. Let's talk about what's happening right now. Look, Bitcoin is making new waves, you know, breaking records, and it's looking for higher numbers. If you start looking at the charts, or especially on the higher time frame, weekly to weekly and this and that, you can see how the RSI, how the stochastic RSI is flipping bullish. They want to go higher, and they want to push forward. So for me, as you all remember in many videos in the past, I had one number that was my highest number, which was between 133k, I believe, 237k. I did not give you guys a higher number, even though if we use the previous data and we start predicting what could potentially happen based on the previous past results, we do get higher numbers. I mean, I've seen 200k, 250k, but none of that was certain, right? So, you know, I like to publish stuff that I'm quite certain about, and this was something I was quite certain about. So I do realize that, you know, yeah, we could get to 250k, 300k, 400k, but I have also mentioned something else as well regarding this as well, and I actually have seen an example of this right now. BTC is currently sitting at $118,000, pushing forwards, heading towards the 133k, whether it's going to be there or not, but mathematically, based on the charts, that's a range we should be reaching. So that's one of the reasons why I say it's a certainty that we could get to 137k. Even previously I've mentioned, like, I could smell it because it's just right there, like 133k, sorry, I can smell it. So the situation is when you start looking at these numbers, obviously you sometimes lose your control, right? You lose your mind, you don't realize what you're about to do. You get overexcited, overwhelmed with everything that's happening, all the profits, right? You know, and there are two types of people, right? So there are people who are traders, calm, cautious, and they'll trade and they'll make, for example, Faisal, I'm talking about you, do 1000x, all right? Sorry, 1000% on a single trade, which is brilliant, right? Because he knows that, okay, I've done my 1000%, I'm out. Do you know what I mean? So there are people out there who take risks with limited assets, and they know what the risk is, so they're not going to risk everything. And then there are people who've gone all in, right? Who've invested whatever savings they've had, whether it be thousands of dollars, whether it be hundreds of thousands of dollars, it doesn't matter. They've invested all of that, and of course the market swings high, swings low, and a lot of people have been impacted through this in previous seasons where they've bought coins and have not recovered, right? So it's been a situation where a lot of people haven't recovered. So with other coins and altcoins and all sorts of other stuff as well, and BTC on their portfolio, they have managed to recover some. So a lot of people are now pretty much back to square one where they started. And all I'm going to say to everybody is, guys, look, this is an advice, not financial advice, but just a simple brotherly advice. If you are at that point where you've made money, you know, then what you need to start thinking about is taking some off the table. Take your initials out as soon as you can, and as much as you can, right? Or whatever you think you can. Of course, if you have this whole mindset, it's like, okay, I'm going to be in it for the next 5 years, I'm going to be in it for the next 10 years. By all means, next 5-10 years, BTC would definitely be in the region of 500k, if not a million, right? I can say that. I mean, that's what the charts have been telling us. So we can easily get that. Can you hold that long? If you can, by all means, hold on, right? You know, but I don't advise that. What I advise is, guys, there's always another day. So if we are at a point where we can now start taking some off. Now, all of you guys who follow me regularly on Discord here and everything as well, you know very well, I've actually exited during the last dip that we had, which was around $106,000, if I'm correct, right? That's when I dipped, that's when I left. And then I think I started exiting majority around the 98k. I can't remember off the top of my head. Sorry, I didn't keep an account of it, but I think around there. There's videos out there, guys. My name is Sham, by the way, and this is X5, and I always say the truth is always out there. So the truth is there on some video. I've mentioned it. I think it was about 98k when I've decided to kind of exit everything. So I went back into US dollars, and then what I started to do was only trade, right? So my strategy was, I'm not going to risk my crypto. However, I'm going to accumulate more and more dollars, right? If I can accumulate more and more dollars, then what will happen is I'm in a better position. Whatever happens to the market, whether it goes, if it goes up, obviously I'm going to trade it up and I'm going to try and increase my dollars. And if it goes down, then guess what? I have the dollars, right? So that was a strategy for me. It's like, okay, rather than playing and gambling with the crypto, it's my time to exit. And there's a reason behind this as well. A lot of you guys who are new maybe not know this, right? So we actually entered the market when it was around 20k, and there's a video out there a few years back. I said this to everyone. I said, guys, you know, sell your kidneys, sell whatever, right? It doesn't matter. At that point, you sell everything and you buy BTC. If we fall below $19,800, we buy everything. And I even predicted like we could go as low as 13k. We didn't go 13k. But there were other numbers in between, like we had a 16k, 16.5k or something like this. Those numbers did come because we went as low as $15,000. You know, I don't have a crystal ball, so I can only go by what the chart tells me. And so far, this is what the chart has told me. Like, look, you know, the market right now is peaking out. We are at that point where anything could happen. So earlier on, we had a discussion on, there's a few people actually discussing on Discord. And there was a few questions, like one person said, like, you know, do we think we've got another 6 weeks or 6 to 8 weeks or something like this, right? We could have 6 to 8 weeks. We could even have another 6 months, right? That's me being completely honest with you. We could have another 6 months. But what you also have to factor in is that crypto's not currently following the charts as it normally used to. It's following politics as well, right? Geopolitics, for God's sake. We saw how the market dumped when a war started, and then we saw, as soon as the ceasefire came in, we saw the market move. So when you factor that in as a wild card, right, things have to be different. So you have to understand, like, okay, right, I need to have my finger on the trigger, be there 24/7, have my finger on the trigger to exit, or I need to set up some form of protection, you know, which I would normally call stop loss or trailing stops, right? Whatever you do, anyway, it's up to you, whatever strategy you have. So set those things up right now. As we move up, move them also up so you can maximize your profit, right? Because we don't know if the market's going to be over, or we're going to have the longest bull run ever, because we literally haven't gone past the 50% mark yet. Right, because the bull market's over when we drop 50%. It's too late, right? So this is the longest bull run for Bitcoin in history. A few things have changed, obviously. You know, you got the president of US holding crypto, right? You know, that's something different as well. So anyway, leave all of these things aside. The point is look, we've had so many changes, right? So many things happening for us. Phone's heating up. So many yeah, I know, I can see that. So the phone is heating up because it's freaking sunny. Anyway, I'll put it here for right now. So what I'm saying is so many things have changed, guys. And you know, for us, it's all exciting stuff. It's exciting times to be in it, to experience it the way it is, right? But we also have to play very cautiously, because things could change and go south any second now. Hence why it doesn't matter if it goes on for another 6 weeks. It doesn't matter if it goes on for another 6 months. What matters is, are you protected, right? Protection means what kind of a strategy do you have in place? My strategy is I'm playing with a very tight stop loss. And as I said, I haven't been holding any crypto. I've just been playing with US dollars. My exit was a long time ago, about, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, 6 months ago. I can't remember, around that time. Anyway, I remember the price. It was like 98, something similar like that. But between the 106 and 98, that was my level of exit. So, because that's when the market kind of triggered saying it's going to go down. However, I was still optimistic, and I said, look, guys, if we can break past the 110k, and this is all documented on Discord and on YouTube as well. I said, if we can break past 110k, then I'll put a trade up there, and I'll go with that as well. So I've had a lot of trades open on the upside and the downside. So for me, my plan A is, okay, as long as the market's moving up on a higher threshold, I want to do some longs, right? Some high margin longs, basically. I won't say how high, because sometimes it gets too risky, because if someone follows you and they don't really understand how it works, things could get messy. So and obviously none of this is financial advice. You do whatever you want to do, each to their own. I'm not going to say anything else, right? But that's what I've been doing. That's my strategy. So because of that, I'm in a better position that if something happens, I don't really lose much. I don't really lose anything, if that, right? You know, so for me, it's just 100% profit, right? And 100% profit could be 10% on my portfolio, could be 5% on my portfolio, could be 1% on my portfolio. But as long as I'm positive, which I like to say, I'm okay. Do you see what I mean? So I'm not negative. I'm not going to lose 5% of my portfolio, right? If something goes down, I'm actually up. Does that make sense? Because what I've been doing is, while everybody's been chasing the 2x's, I've been doing 5%, 6%, 4%, 3%, 4%, and just stacking them. So when you compound all of these, I've already done a 2x. Just, I'm being hypothetical here, right? I've already done a 2x, potentially even higher. So the point is I haven't been betting the farm on it. I haven't risked anything, right? In fact, I'm in a position where now the only risk I'm taking is with money that I call free money, is the money that the profit money. So the initials are already coming out. Do you know what I mean? And like yesterday, when I saw the market go to like $118,000, close to like, I think it was close to 119,000. I can't remember exactly. I haven't been checking, guys. I just get notifications, you know. But when I saw the market moving, I knew immediately. I said, look, smart money, I know what they're going to do. Smart money is going to start taking some chips off the table, right? And that's the right thing to do. So we also have to think like the smart money, right? Psychology matters, right? Remember, when the market is bullish and green, we want to be in the red. Means we want to be fearful that something could flip any second. Of course, we want to be bullish when the market is red, right? When the market is bleeding out, that's when we are bullish, because that's when we are stacking up. That's when you make the maximum amount of profit. But don't be that person who basically holds, assuming it's going to come back, it's going to come back. Yes, it's going to come back. It's definitely going, right? As I said, it's going to go to 500k. It's going to go to a mil. Do you have the patience, right? If you have the patience for it, by all means. If you don't have the patience, then I suggest you need to start looking at yourself and start having a strategy and say, right, is it worth me holding, or is it worth me coming out and wait for the market to settle down and then pick it up? But whatever your strategy is, think. That's all I'm saying, right? You know, don't go absolute nuts. But stop losses do help. And if you ever want to go back in, it's always fine. Remember, if the market's 118k today and it dips to 116k, for example, right, or 110k, for example, you say, right, I want to exit now, and the market obviously comes back in again, you can always come back in. Yes, you're going to lose a little bit because you're going to buy a little bit less. But if you think the market's going to shift, like recently, we were in a critical situation during the time when we had the 12-day war. Critical situation where we don't know what the market's doing, because BTC wasn't following the chart. I don't know. I was confused. I was like, what the hell is this doing? Because this is not supposed to follow that. But with the ceasefire, triggered an upside, and all of a sudden the entire chart changed. Like, we had a proper signal telling us the market's over. And all of a sudden, it just went up. But I was still on the sidelines, and I was a bit cautious. I said, that's why, you know, I've mentioned before as well, I said, it could go low, it could go higher. If it goes higher, then I'll have a trade open at the higher level. If it goes lower, then I've got no option but to sit back, relax, and let it bleed as much as possible before I jump back in again. You see what I mean? So that's kind of my strategy. And of course, plan B, which I didn't mention, my plan B is, if I think the market's going to bleed the shit out of itself, excuse my language, but I will short the shit out of it, right? Because that's plan B. Do you know what I mean? That's plan B, not the other plan B. That's my plan B. My plan B is, if the market goes down, if I think it's going to bleed out and that's it, it's over, I'm going to be on a short, maybe the longest short I've ever done, right? What I mean by that, I'll just open a short, leave an open margin, and just let it bleed, right? Because you want to stack as much as possible, bankrupt some cryptocurrency exchanges if you can. Do you know what I mean? Because that's the kind of level of stuff we're expecting to happen. Unfortunately, it hasn't. Well, fortunately as well, it hasn't happened. But that's the reason why this crypto cycle has been the most different cycle ever. So sometimes when we start comparing to the past, right, we have to do it with a fistful of salt, because things aren't the same anymore. So many things have changed. So other than that, guys, I'm not going to make this thing longer. I hope you guys enjoyed the content. Well, not the content, it's not a content anyway. I hope you guys enjoyed the information that we talked about. I wish we would have done a proper live. It is live, by the way. But I wish everyone was here, and but I messaged everyone, no one responded, so I just thought, you know what, just to get the message out there, talk to you guys and catch up with you guys. So I hope everyone's good. If you are awesome and you have watched it to here, leave something in the comment, let me know, say hi at least, right? You know, and I'll reply back to your comments as well. So other than that, guys, like, share, subscribe. My name is Sham, this is Xy. The truth is always out there. Some of the stuff that I've mentioned here, you will find evidence all of the videos anyway, so you can look back any video previous to this and you'll see me mentioning the numbers. I wouldn't say any, but a few videos back, especially when we're talking about BTC. You see the numbers there, you see all of that. And on Discord, I always publish the charts and my numbers, my lines. They don't change. They haven't changed for God knows how long. So it is there as proof. Other than that, guys, I'm going to catch you guys on another one very soon, hopefully on a live with everybody here with me and communicating. Other than that, smash the like. I'll see you on another one very soon. Adios, my amigos.